Live from Las Vegas.
Feel like my voice is a representation of how it's going. I feel like do you remember Mark and Lard?
Yes.
Do you remember when they used to do the Reverend Barry? Was it the Reverend Barry White or something like that? They had basically a voice changer, and it was just Mark and old Lard speaking really lowly in a style. That's how I feel. But
That is
it's,
a bit how you say. I feel I'm coming across very crisp and clean. and then you're just like, almost like you're trying to keep your voice down because you're in a hotel room.
I mean, that is also part of it.
And also, like, for me, it's 1:15 in the afternoon, but for you, it's.
Come on, you can do the maths. We did this.
No, no, I can't. I can't. That's why I left it open for you to do. It's morning time for you, but I can't tell you what
It's
time in the
quarter past
morning.
6 in the morning.
6:15. That's not what I thought it was. I thought it was about 8 o'clock. Which is why, just to let everyone know, you might hear it on the mic, Mark is drinking from a bottle of water that is pink because it's got some Barocca in it.
Morning.
But bless you, you got up and you watched Severance.
Well, I watched part of it last night. We went downtown last night and got the bus back, and it was like we ate way too much, so I couldn't drink anything. Um, we came back. I went to bed. Thought, oh, Severance on. I might just watch it now, so that I'm kind of in a better place to get up and meet your timings. And then I just fell asleep during the middle of it. So I have just finished it off. So if my notes are in two different, um, seems like they're in two different moments, then that's probably why. So yeah, watch this in two parts. Yeah.
You're in different time zones. I've made notes this time as well, which I never normally do. But my notes mostly consist of just one sentence, which is creepy dad.
Oh, mine. I didn't actually put that, but yeah. Um, yes, we'll
We'll
get to
get to
that.
that. Okay, I am because we're recording this over the interwaves. I've got loads of tabs open on my laptop, so I'm just going to close them all down just in case someone because I've got the WhatsApp web browser open, and I can just imagine going dum the whole time, and also my emails. So I'm just going to close that down. And whilst I'm
Professional
doing, I
podcasters.
know, I know. This is what happens when we're not in the same room. Your hotel room looks very glamorous compared to my backdrop, I have to say. For
It's
everyone at
literally the
home,
cheapest one on the strip.
no, for everyone at home, it's got a beautiful light up on the wall. It's got some art. Is that a dollar sign behind you?
Yeah. So for anyone who knows, I'm stopping at the link. Please don't come and visit. If you,
I don't think people are going to get on a plane and go, "Oh, Mark's at the link. I'll
it's
just
almost as
bob
if
on
people
there."
people can live here. Um, yeah. So it's got some art behind me of kind of old Las Vegas signs. So that's
Which we went to see lots of old Las Vegas signs on our honeymoon. I had my
we did.
photograph taken under the horseshoe, the Binion's horseshoe, which was meant to be good luck. I mean, it went a bit funny after that. Given that we ended up in hospital with our kids and, the rest of the story. If you want to know the rest of the story, listen to episode 1 all the way back in the day. But, given that happened, I always thought that was quite ironic that I was stood under this lucky horseshoe and then all of that stuff happened. And then COVID. That was great.
I don't think we can be blamed for COVID.
No, I know. Yeah, probably not. Out of all the things, that's probably not the one that we did. Okay, I want to say thank you to Neil W. and Nicola W. No relation, as far as I'm aware, who have been sending in these brilliant ideas and notes. And Neil W. sent me a really thoughtful note about what he thought Cold Harbour was. And it really, really challenged me to think about what Cold Harbour was. And Nicola W sent me a voice note while she was on a dog walk. I was thinking about Irving's dog Radar while I was watching it today, and she sent me this voice note while she was on a dog walk, essentially to say that she was enjoying the podcast, which got me on board, Nicola, at that point in time. But then she twisted it to say that everything that you had said last episode was completely right.
Yes.
And that anyone who's bothering about the cinematography and the way it looks, that's, and I was like, yep, that's me. And it's like, so it's just like, it was amazing. So yeah, she completely was with you and say, we need to drive it on. We need to get the plot moving. So I'm hoping that both you and Nicola and anyone else who feels that way has had a good episode, because this episode is getting the gang back together or splitting them up. But at least it was lots of scenes with our favourite people. How did you find the episode?
So, I mean, yeah, it's my first part of it was, yeah, no, I'm still processing it, to be honest. I've literally just finished it, but it was getting it was getting the gang back together, but not really as a one. I mean, there's a slight interaction between Helly and Dylan, which we'll get to. But yeah, absolutely, I prefer these sort of episodes. As I've got my notes, and I have just got loads of different sections of our main cast, and that's how I like my Severance.
Yes, I think we found it difficult the last couple of episodes, haven't we? Because we've been sat on the sofa and we're like, how are we going to structure this? And it's thrown us a little bit because we're so used to going, right, what's Innie Mark doing? What's Helly doing? And thinking about the intricacies of Severance as a concept, which we haven't done for the last couple of episodes. And obviously the Ortbo through things as well. So at least we're able to do that here. We're not going to go too long, and I'm saying that to you, because our son got up at 2:00 this morning and I am doing solo childcare and I need to go and have a sleep before he comes home from school. And also you, with your Barocca, you need to have a rest as well before you're back out on the Las Vegas Strip. So we're going to keep it to a tight timeline, but we are going to go through the usual character by character. Who do you want to start with? I automatically want to go to Mark, but I don't think Mark's the key.
I think we save
thing
Mark
today.
I think.
Yeah.
So we can start.
Should we do him at the
We
end?
can start really easily with Dylan. Dylan resigned.
He did.
Yeah, Gretchen obviously tells outie Dylan about the kissing, the hugging.
Why do you think she did that? Do you think it's just
Yeah,
guilt?
absolute definite guilt. Yeah, she tells him he's obviously angry. Use my body to cheat on me with. I mean, that's a great line.
But the killer though, isn't it, is where she says what we've thought all along, which is he reminds me of like old you, which is a horrible, because people say that about people they have affairs with. They'll say, oh, he or she reminds me of what we used to be like, or they remind me of when I was younger, or or they were like you before you got like this. I think that's a killer line. Oh,
It's also a testament to the acting in this that we were able to just pick that up independently, and we can see exactly what she sees in him without it being said on screen. So good. And speaking of acting, she obviously goes in to meet Dylan B, the innie, and tells him what's happened and that she can't see him anymore. And his face looks just like a child that's been told. Spoiler, life spoiler for anyone who's got kids listening in the background. That's been told there's no Santa. I felt so bad for him, and I do feel bad for Holly because he was really mean to her after that.
who's Holly?
Like,
Oh, Helly. You really are tired, aren't you?
yes.
Yeah, he was mean to her.
And that is the only bit of interaction between our core four this episode. But then as it seems, he resigns.
Yeah, and you see him just tick. I love that it's the comedy that comes into it, just ticking every box: fatigue, tiredness, depression,
Every single bit of the box.
Every single bit. And of course, I was thinking, well, he can't resign because it's out. He's got to let. But of course, they've changed the rules now, so they can leave at any time they want. So.
That was one of my notes, but yeah, that makes total sense. And also, his outie isn't the the CTO of the company.
Yeah, but and also like the outie was threatening to do it anyway. I mean, there's still gonna be a problem that he's got to find a job because we know that outie Dylan really struggles to get a job, so they're going to financially they're not going to benefit financially from the fact that he's not working there anymore. I can't see this being the final thing for Dylan. I think this is a bit of a what's it called, like a bluff.
Yes, it's a stop in the road to get to wherever this. Obviously, you expect that the ending of this series is things that everyone's going to come together, and whether on the innie or outie.
But having said that, I don't think that's going to happen with Irv. I really feel the way that it's directed, the whole idea of the train going off into the distance, there was this really different colour palette with Irving's storyline this week. And it was almost seemed like it was in a different like time zone when he went into the train station. It was very muted and very like someone put Vaseline all over the lens. And also everyone seemed to be dressed like they're from the 1900s, the early 1900s, because they all had like bowler hats on, and it was like he'd gone back into some sort of painting. And that did really feel like an ending for me, and especially Bert sitting there on the chair and going off screen. They didn't, and the mirroring of the heads together. I just felt this was the end of the line for Irv. I'll be very, very happy if that, if he gets back on the train and comes back again, because they didn't need to do that. They could have just had him sitting at home without this, goodbye. And I think it would feel quite undone if they went back on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we get the revelation here that Bert is a hired hired goons, connected to deaths or disappearances, and I think we all speculated that Bert might be working for Lumen, but it seems here he is working in Ev's best interests than necessarily being someone who is there to distract him, so that Mr. Drummond can come in and look through all his stuff. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, takes him to the train station. Should you let Radar on the seat in front of you?
Yes, he's fine. I mean, it didn't look like there was anyone else on the train. It was a weird train. It was like one of these. It reminded me of the train from Wicked. Like sort of massive old industrial train going out to nowhere. We don't know. Kia just seems to be this really strange place.
Yeah, yes, it's just a beautiful marble train station.
Mm,
That looks beautiful. I wonder where they shot that at. Being the way that we are, I can't actually check that at the minute, but which I normally would in the background because I'm working on an iPad and yeah. But yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful train station, a beautiful scene of goodbye between the two of them. Um, and it does seem like the Bert of relationship has transcended between innie and outie in a way that in a way that um, Gemma and Mark didn't. Like until Mark realised who Gemma was and Miss Casey.
Miss
Yeah, like
Casey.
obviously she was
Mm,
just someone who was on his floor. He wasn't sort of having touching moments with her. Very cold relationship, but yeah, I find it interesting how that has transcended the innie outie relationship. Um,
yeah. I think it is. I think that's my. Well, I'll be wrong, but I think it is. I think the Miss Casey thing, just going back to your point, the Miss Casey thing was that she didn't really know who she was. She wasn't a formulated person, so we didn't really have anything to go off. She would spend all the time she would spend would be coming up, reading out these lists, and then going away again. And do you remember when she said, "Oh, like the best day I've ever had is sitting watching
yes,
Heliar," because she was so new in her Severance that I can imagine that Mark wouldn't feel anything there because he hasn't been able to build a relationship with her like Bert and Irving did in the innie world and also in the outie world. So yeah, I kind of I see where they've gone to with that Bert and Irving had so much more to process and to put together. But yeah, I think it's the end there, and I'm happy to be proved wrong.
shall we talk about Helena, Holly, whatever you
And
want
a
to call
creepy
her?
dad.
Oh, what?
He's a weirdo, and also he's knocking people up in his employees. He's a bad un. We know he's a wrong un anyway, don't we? Like we know, but it's these little tiny bits of information that everyone's used to him as someone being brought along, a pregnant woman being brought along from the office. It's one of James. It's like, oh, he does this all the time.
Yeah, it's a.
Rotter.
I mean, obviously, I'm very close to the wrestling industry where we are seeing systematic abuse of power by Vince McMahon, who was previously in charge, and it just seems like a $1 billion company and someone in charge who is well known within the company for. Why have hearts just come out of my head?
I'm just laughing. So what you're doing is you're putting your hands together like a
Oh,
heart, and hearts have just come out of the squad cast. So if you do a heart sign with your hands on squad cast, apparently it sends hearts through the internet. Oh look, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. No, it won't do it for
no,
me.
it's
Only you.
because you're not.
Maybe I can't do the heart
Why
symbol.
can't you do the heart
Apparently,
symbol?
why can't I do it with the
Why
heart
you're
symbol?
why
Oh
why
no!
your
Why am I? It doesn't work for me.
why are your
Anyway, I'm
fingers
happy to
wrong?
receive the hearts from
Why can't you
Las
just do
Vegas. I
it?
don't know. I can't do it. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
sorry guys, we use this.
Can we get back to the
We use this
episode?
podcast, and I've just found a hidden feature that I didn't know about. It's yeah.
Who knew? And I can't use it because my hands don't make a heart sign.
Yeah,
Apparently,
that's
apparently I can't do it. What were we talking about? Creepy
creepy
dad.
dad.
Creepy dad. He wants her to eat raw eggs.
That's a weird. That's a very very weird cold open of the egg being split into six. I wonder if there's some symbolism here because it's very
I'm sure there is. I
mathematical.
don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
Um, Note here, Daddy Egan's acting is a bit much.
Is that what you put?
Yeah, I mean, it's just very. Again, he feels like he's more in the Regabi um, side of the acting of amateur dramatics.
It's a bit. It reminds me of Patricia Arquette in that it's very cold. It's unusual. It feels otherworldly, but he just goes a bit too far with it.
Yeah.
And also obviously he pops up at the end, and he's on the severed floor when he does
Yes.
that. There seems to be, and I hope I'm wrong, but my reading of it is it's also almost some sort of psychosexual thing with Helly. It just reads wrong. And given that we've found out that he's got... I can see your face, yeah. I wasn't looking at you, and now I've just looked and Mark's just grimacing. But
It's got dark.
it feels dark. It feels really unsettling, and I think that's why I'm sort of getting that from the screen. I think I'm meant to. I think you're meant to look at it and go, oh, he's really, really unsettling as a person. In fact, he's watching his daughter, he's commenting on what she's eating, he wants her to eat raw foods because he'd prefer that. I mean, that's just weird in itself. And you can see this level of control that she's under, and then you can understand, can't you, that how she would have enjoyed pretending to be Heliar and hanging out with Mark, because she's under this really weird world where it seems like she's living with him and they're only just round the corner from the big Lumen building.
Why do you want her to eat raw food?
I
And
don't know.
I have a theory, which is quite timely on this.
All
There's
right.
been a lot of speculation that Helly could be pregnant because she's had sex with Mark twice now, one way, either
Twice.
way,
Yeah, yeah.
once either side of the severed divide. But every single time in America when you read a menu, there is pregnant women should not eat undercooked food, and
Really?
yeah, so that disclaimer is on every single menu that I've seen.
Is
So
it? Oh, that's
quite
interesting.
timely that's yeah. So especially around sort of meats and things like that. Obviously,
Mm,
whenever you're pregnant, you need to make sure things are cooked, things you should and shouldn't eat.
yeah.
Wonder if that is some subtext there because it's such a random thing for him to say.
And also, it's an egg, isn't it? So there's like the
Yes.
symbolism of the egg. I love the plate. And that was released by Apple I think it was like 24 hours ago or something, but they released a little snippet and they released a bit of the egg being cut, but also it's the plate of the two people pulling apart the man. It's two women pulling apart a man.
He looked like a child,
Oh yeah, well,
but
it's something
yeah.
weird, isn't it? Where one thing's in the middle, and two are pulling it apart
And
or
there's the pull it, and
fighting
as they
over it.
split the egg out, there is that
Yeah,
symbolism of the child being in the middle. Yeah.
yeah.
And then it seemed like there was a shot of a big tower.
That's the water tower. That's like the Lumen water
Yeah.
tower
It felt
next to
like
the big building.
when I saw that, it felt like it was trying to show me something that I didn't already know, and I was like, I don't see what I'm supposed to see here, but I was tired and emotional after being downtown Las Vegas.
The only thing that I thought was when it pulled back from the build from their home, it was kind of all I was thinking was, oh, it's showing us it's so close to the building that they go to every day, because she's like, she parks a car. I mean, obviously you'd need to drive, but she parks a car there. You would think she might live somewhere, you know. I think it was just, the only thing I took from it was, oh, that it's showing you just how close it is to that building. Yeah, and then Helly, bless her, takes it on herself to Mark Gregerson.
I didn't need to do that.
Mark's doing some weird things with his hands. He's now, without meaning to, done a thumbs up sign, and the Squadcasters just sent me a thumbs up image flying through the... What else are you going to come up with? What other signs can you do with your hands?
Oh no, just cuts out the middle of the screen.
This is really showing me how much you like play around with your hands when you're thinking / talking.
Apparently so. I'm so glad I didn't do this when we were chatting to the cinema I love or Squadcast.
Can you imagine these hearts coming out through the internet to the cinema? That would be great. Yes, I could. Oh, Mark's doing it again because now he's found a toy. You're just going to constantly put me off now with all of your your emojis coming through the internet. But yeah,
spending the rest of the day just creating a Squadcast session and just seeing what else I can do.
Fair enough. I wonder what other hand symbols you're going to throw at me. What were we on? We were on Helly. She's taken it upon herself. She's gone to find the worst directions known to mankind, and I thought it was going to end with her finding the lift and finding Gemma. I honestly thought it was going to be the two of them coming together, but instead, Weird Dad's showing up.
That may very be the ending of the... that may very well be the ending of the series, because obviously we're building towards that. She's memorising the directions, she's got a pattern in her head, and then...
She's hidden it under a keyboard, I think.
Yes, and Jim comes in, and...
Yeah.
So he is Jim, Fields is Fields. Because I thought it was James for so long, but it was the subtitles, which I think rewound to check something when someone wasn't quite clear, and yeah. So we do a bit on Miss Wang.
Oh yeah, I felt sorry for Miss Wang. Have to be honest.
I think that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Well, like the child labour thing that you find out with Cobell last episode really put a spin on it, and also the fact that she had been in that position herself. And Milchek is mean. It's the only thing she's got is a little ring toy. She just sits there playing. I know, they're great, aren't they? I love those games. I forgot about those.
Present. Yeah. And we found out her first name's Eustace. Is that? Again, had to rewind it because I thought it was Eunice.
Yeah, so did I.
Me of Eunice Hut.
And then, did you catch what the big head was? Is that the head of... Is that her head?
No, it was either Keir or... It was one of the Egans. It was Keir or James, because they both got very similar haircuts, so I imagine it was Keir Egan. Because
again, Cobell had one, didn't she? She had a head last episode, so again, that makes sense that they told us that last episode. See, last episode so much better than everyone thinks it is.
It was fun. It was fun, the last episode. I have issues with the storytelling, but yeah, that's... and then she gets on the Lumen school bus.
Little bus, and then off she goes. And she wanted to see out the quarter. Sad times.
Yeah. I wonder where this is going. Like, obviously, she's been a character in the background all season. We've never really got any answers as to why she's there, other than she's, helping. She's second in command and a child. But yeah, why is she there? I think this is going to tie into why Miss Cobell was there. Oh, sorry, thumbs up have come up again because apparently I'm very gestury this morning. And yes, it's setting up nicely to find out a bit more about her.
I think this might be the end of her as well. I think he sent her off to some sort of far climes, hasn't he? Like, he sent her away to do. I think this is the end for her. I think that's why, we've been showing that's tied that up this time round. I don't think she'll be back.
But why would you bring her in just to have her in the background as a child and then disappear?
Because I think it's
the episode before the season ending.
I think because she has nothing to do in the end. I think in the last episode she would have nothing to do. So I think you get rid of her out of the show and you've learnt through Cobell what's happening here is that these are bright kids that are being groomed to go into these roles, and that's what she's doing, and now she's moved somewhere else. So I think this might be the. Again, I'm happy to be proved wrong.
I would be incredibly disappointed if that was the case. I think I think they've indicated there is more to this than just being a mirror to the younger Cobell.
I don't think there's any more to it than that. They haven't given her any other. We've not seen her on her own. She's not been given any, major storyline. She's just there as a bit like, the characters that we've been seeing hanging around on the other episodes. Look at what happened with the B group that came in right at the beginning. We've never seen them before. Bob Balaban hasn't turned up again, has he? I think and Gwendolyn Christie might show up in a later series. I'm sure she will, but I have a feeling that for this series, those characters are away. And we're going to focus on the main.
That's not what you said. Sorry, you said that was it.
Right. Sorry, I mean in the context of this series, I'm not thinking to like series 3 and 4. I'm sure she'll come back at some point. She'll be older, and she might come back as more of a right. Okay, the international divide means that we cannot tell what each other are saying. But that's what I was in the context of this series. I think she's now departed.
And then the Milchek Drummond standoff.
Yes! Facundus feces?
No. Facundus sounds like the beginning of a Harry Potter spell.
It was
Devour feculence.
That's it. It's lovely.
So yeah, he was. Mr. Drummond comes along, asks him to apologise for Mark not turning up for work, to shorten the apology from "I apologise" to "I'm sorry."
Well, remonstration.
Yes.
Was the original. Great word.
But Milchek is pushing back, and obviously on the previously on Severance there was the indication that we saw the pictures that he was given and indicating that he's not entirely happy with his relationship with the rest of the company, and he explains it's not his responsibility what happens. It's his It's his responsibility what happens on the 7th floor, but if Mark's not turning up for work, that's not on him.
Yeah.
And it's, in fact, Mr. Drummond's.
Yeah, good on him. Good on him for pushing back. I thought we might have seen a bit of about partway through, I'm thinking, when he's telling him to eat shit, I thought he was saying, all right, I'm done. I'm off. Or, like, almost like the team coming together where you've got Cobell, Mark, Devon, Milchek's going to turn up at the cabin. I thought we were going to get that sort of thing, but I don't feel. I think Milchek's still very much in Lumen. He's got ambitions to go even higher, and he's now pushing back against someone like Drummond and essentially turning the tables on him to say, "Not my jurisdiction. This is yours." It was good for him. He's still not very nice. He made Miss Wang destroy her one and only nice thing in life.
Yes. And then Mark.
Yeah, I was happy with the way that it turned out. Were you, after last week and not being entirely sure what was happening with Cobell and Ragabi?
It feels... obviously, plot is moving along. It feels like we didn't move very far along on this. We have essentially gone from the meet Cobell on a little snowy lane.
on a ledge. It's always somewhere that looks really risky.
Yeah. Mark hides in the back of a truck. Much like Cobell did last week.
Nice.
Yeah. We find out that Cold Harbour is due today, which is why it's problematic that Mark's not in. Might have the note, Mrs. Cobell better fucking explain what Cold Harbour is.
Well, she's so inscrutable, isn't she? She just stands there and she just says like one word or like very short sentences. But she did say, like, if she's already completed it, then she's dead. And this leads me to my my sort of idea, which I was discussing with Neil W., which is I think Cold Harbour is something to do with death. I think it's a callback to that sort of, would you prefer to drown or would you like to suffocate? And I think it's maybe them showing that you could kill a severed person, but not kill the other. Like, can you kill an innie and not an outie? I think it's something like that, because they're saying, and when she said, "Oh, she's already dead," then yeah, that just made me think, oh, maybe I'm onto something. Because it has to be something revolutionary, doesn't it? It has to be something to say. And then we've had all of those things back, the soul of an innie, an innie has a soul. I was severed so that I could go to heaven. Lots of those sorts of things peppered through. And it has to be something bigger than just, I don't know, just something bigger. Just something bigger than that. Something that's going to change the world, in inverted commas. And that they could prove that this thing has happened, not just writing letters with your left hand, to say thank you for electric goods. So, yeah, we now have up the stakes in that, if they complete Cold Harbour, Gemma's dead. So, I mean, no one's completing anything because no one's doing any work. Did you get what Milchek... I know we've gone backwards a bit. Did you get what Milchek was doing? He was staring at a piece of artwork on the wall and he sort of had a moment, didn't he, of reflection and saying to Mark, you can come in tomorrow.
I didn't understand. Now, obviously, it was sort of more conceptual art as far as I could tell from what I remember. Looked sort of like mountainy, or a glacier or something like that, but I don't quite get what that was. No, I didn't pick much up it. I didn't know if it was just B-roll of the film or anything like that. But
oh, that's good because I didn't get it either.
Some of the conversations, it does feel a little bit lost in the worst way here, where talk about if he's finished it, she's already dead. No, because you just say, well, what is it then?
Yeah, he does say, well, and he just shouted at, what is it like? What he does do that. It's just that she just then stands there and doesn't give it. But I think it does ring true to me that if you had been manipulated into this cult for so long, and this is like who you are, it must be very difficult to break out of that. And even though you're saying, I'm an ally, you just don't come across like one because you're not used to giving away your secrets. You're used to keeping everything to yourself. You're not used to trusting anyone else. So it does ring true to me, character-wise, that Cobell remains. And I love that scene of when she's in the cabin. I actually had a little giggle and a scream when they do that scene of Innie Mark meets her in the cabin and she's like illuminated by fire. And that cabin looks amazing, and she stood in front of all of these flames, and again she doesn't say anything. She's just standing there. It's amazing. So that it rings true for me. But you're right. I got a little bit annoyed that we were just standing in the forest waiting for the darkness. That did, that I was like, oh, come on. And I get that, you got to go over, but maybe he could have been doing something else. Maybe they could have had some really good conversations, but. He could be talking to Devon about things. Like, it just seemed to me like they were just standing about when we could have had some really good dialogue, even if you weren't giving the audience all of the answers at that point in time. So that did annoy me.
The big thing for me was not that. It was more we work through, and obviously we get the big meeting outside, and I was expecting. Remember the last time, penultimate episode, the ending was. We see flashes of the guys when they are outside of Lumen, and the big ending here is. Do you remember the last thing he said to me? Yeah, she's alive. So, then my Apple TV went immediately to another episode of something else, like a different TV show. So I was like, hang on, what's happened here? And I thought I didn't know if it was like part of the thing that it just cut off into black. Didn't even get to the credits, didn't even get to directed by. Yeah. So, something weird. I thought because we were both watching it at the same time. So I didn't know if you'd finished the episd and Custody.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
And it had moved on. And I was like, oh, no. So I'll go back and I said, oh, no, that actually was the ending. It was, weird. There's a little bit anticlimactic ending of.
I agree.
Yeah, we remember. She's
we know that. Come on.
Yeah, give us a bit
Give
more.
us something. Give us Cobell saying like an iconic line, or give us something. I agree. But we're set up now for the final episode. I'm happy going into the final episode. I'm happy seeing where we're gonna get to with it. Everything, all the chess pieces are essentially in play. Oh, but there's only. I'm going to rewind and redo that. Some chess pieces are in place, and some they've removed. They've taken people like where Dylan was so fundamental to, hang in there, pressing his two fingers on the buttons, keeping them going. This time round, he's resigned. How he's going to come back into it, I don't know. And that feels like it would take a lot of time. Although I hear on the grapevine, I don't know, I think I just saw something on Tinternet, but that it's going to be a really long last episode. I don't know if you've seen this.
I hadn't seen that.
So if that is true, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to look it up because I don't want to be spoiled for anything. But if that is true, if they're making it a bit bigger, a bit longer, then maybe they do have time to bring these people back in. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Gretchen and Dylan will be running through the severed floor together. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was to pick where we would end up, I think it's somehow finding Eleanor, Mark, and Dylan, and or possibly Irving on the outside together, and recreate that four.
But you've got to have something
somehow,
that takes you
someplace.
into series 3 now, don't you? Whereas before, when we first, we knew we were going to get into series 2 because we're all outside and we're learning about who they are as outies. With this one, are we now going to be going away from the severed floor? Is it? I can understand now how they brought everyone back in onto the severed floor, but we feel like we're, the 3 desk. No one's really doing any work anymore. And once that happens,
You said that twice. Is it getting up
Yeah,
to you?
I'm really annoyed. Like, they're meant to be working. No one's working. No one's doing any work. The lights aren't even on properly. There's just empty desks. Like, and no one's saying anything apart from Milchek ringing up going, "Where are you? Oh, we might be a bit late." Well, he should be here. And like, he's not even having a proper sick day. Yes. So people aren't working on the, like they used, they're not tapping the little keyboards. And that, it just feels like we've gone so far away from the idea of a workplace thriller because no one's working at the workplace. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? When we're talking about a workplace thriller, the work is not the key thing there, honey. It's the thriller.
But if you don't have the workplace, then you don't have the thriller with this. All I'm saying is I'm marking it down now. I'm worried we're going to Westworld territory. I'm worried, as soon as Westworld came out of Westworld, and as soon as we stopped going on about the cowboys, and as soon as we stopped going on about, Dolores in our lovely blue dress and trying to work all of that out.
When we found out that the maze was essentially the friends we made along the way.
All of that. When we then stepped away and then they went into, in inverted commas, the real world, and then it all became very AI-y and I mean, I can't remember. Or, robots on the outside. Who knows what was happening in the last series, because I just did not follow it. I'm worried we're going over there. So I'm nervous as to where we find ourselves in series 3, which makes me nervous for the end of the series. I wish it was... There's a huge part of me that wishes that this was just 2 series and we're going to conclude it at the end of, like, next week. I'm worried about series 3, and I shouldn't be feeling that way, like, when I'm wanting to get to an end of a series 2.
No, I'd agree with you entirely. I didn't expect you to be there. That's the difference. That's because this has come on. You were very happy last week. And...
Oh, I'm happy in the abstract episodes. I think if I'm thinking of this off the top of my head, and I'm very tired. But I think I'm happier in those abstract episodes because I know I'm remaining in one place, because I'm stuck in time, because I'm staking with a character, or we're off on a random wanna with in a particular event. We're not moving forward. With these episodes where we're moving forwards, it makes me realise that the plot will move on, and maybe that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried, where is the plot going to go and where are we going to end up for series 3. So I think that's why I find a lot of comfort, and I come out really, really much higher than other people on these one-off episodes, because I quite like sitting in the one-off zones and learning a lot. Like, my favourite episode, I'm going to do Lost again, because anyone playing Honeymoon Period Bingo will need the Lost reference. But, those really core Lost episodes where we weren't moving forward things on the island, when we were learning, like, obviously Desmond's one of my favourite characters on Lost, when we were doing those one-off Desmond episodes. And I know it did move the plot along, I know that it has to do that, but it was these core, outside of the day-to-day life on the island episodes. I love those, and those are the episodes that stay with me because it means that I don't have to think about the man in black or or why there's a big turning thing in the middle of the island. And I feel that way about Severance, and it is reminding me of Westworld. It's starting to go that way for me, and I stuck with Westworld all the way to the end.
But we know it. God, that was a Monday night tradition I don't long for.
Looking for punishment. Okay, let's. Unless you've got anything else that you want to say,
nothing else from me.
Let's bring it to a conclusion and hope that this transatlantic recording has worked. Who knows what the edit's going to be like? Apologies, everyone, for the edit.
Yeah, I think we have seen the challenges of not being in the same room and getting the vibes off each other. So apologies, might be a little bit more sketchy than our normal episodes. But hey,
it's not going to happen very often. It's a one-off. Though I have to say before we go that my funniest thing, one of my mates came around last night, one of your mates as well, not just one of mine, one of our mates came around last night, and we were having a chat, and I was saying to her that the funniest thing about this was as soon as you downloaded it, you then wanted to record an episode in different rooms. I was like, but we don't need to do that. We could just be in the living room like normal. But you wanted to test run an entire episode with you in your office and me in my office across the hallway from each other, singing somewhere out there from not American Werewolf in London. That's not the film.
That would be a very different film. Yeah.
What's it called? An American Tale?
An American Tale.
Tale, but AIL.
Yes, and can you tell me the subtitle of the sequel? Fievel
Goes to... Oh, see, in my head it said Fievel Goes to Hollywood, and I'm like, that can't be right.
That would be a very different
I feel he goes...
It's not Fievel Goes to.
Oh, is it not?
It's Fievel Goes.
Fievel Goes West. I was about to say it's something to do with like the old American... Yeah, okay. What do I win?
Nothing. Did we not say all we needed to say with the first American Tale?
I know, but
did we really need to go Back to the
kids
Future 3
films?
on this?
I like Back to the Future 2 better than Back to the Future 3. But anyway,
well, you know where I was last night.
I know you were. You were at Biff's. You were at Biff's in downtown Las Vegas. For anyone who doesn't know, there's there's a casino there. Remind me what
I was going to say, you won't know what it's actually called.
No,
you ever call it Biff's?
I genuinely don't know what it's called because I call it Biff's. But it is.
It's the plaza.
It's the casino that's featured in Back to the Future 2. It is Biff's casino in the bad times. And when we first saw it, when I turned the corner and saw that casino, I genuinely, not even being funny, I thought I'd gone through time. And that I was in a film, and I was in some sort of alternative bar. You know, when you like for a moment, your brain just lets you believe it, and I was like, "It's Biff's." So yeah, Marty McFly was going to come zooming around the corner any minute to save his mum from terrible plastic surgery, and actually a domestic abuse situation. It's quite dark actually. We're thinking about what happens in Back to the Future 2. On that note.
It is.
I've got to stop rambling. On that note, I need to go to sleep. You've got another day ahead of you in Sin City.
Oh, the only sins is how much I ate last night. It's yes.
The portions are huge. Although I'm a little bit disappointed that you haven't sent me that many pictures of the food. I would like more food pictures, please. My favourite thing is the person who you've gone with is taking photographs as if you're on like a school trip. So every now and again, you get these little photos sent through of one or the other of you, or swapping over, in front of landmarks, and you're both stood there with your little hands by your sides, like posing in front of a landmark, as if you're going to send it home to your mum and dad. And I love them. I just think they're so cute.
Yes. We're illuminating the group chat with them.
Yes. Well, it's lovely to see you.
Lovely
I'm sorry
to see you.
I look this horrific. I've not even put any moisture on my face this morning because I'm so tired.
I was going to say see you next Tuesday, but
yes. Well,
Close enough. Thanks for listening.
Thanks everyone for listening. See you next week for Back on the Sofa.